The last time I saw my mother, she stood in my driveway crying about how lonely she was. She didn't ask about Jake. She didn't ask about Lewis. She asked when I was coming home, and I realized she still doesn't know what home meant to me. It meant the dark. It meant the smell of dust and the sound of a lock clicking shut, and her buying him ice cream for it. I'm 33 now, and I still can't ride an elevator alone. If the door's close and I don't see a way out, my sternum caves like someone's kneeling on it. My partner knows to always leave the bedroom door ajar. I told her once early on that it wasn't a quirk. It was a scar. She asked who gave it to me. I said my brother. She asked what my mother did. I said she bought him a milkshake. That was the pattern. My father left when I was so young that I don't have a single memory of his face. Just a story my mother told how he walked out one Tuesday with a duffel bag and never looked back. After that, she poured everything into Alex. He was 9. I wasn't born yet, but by the time I came along, the mold was set. Alex wasn't just her son. He was her husband's substitute, her confidant, her little king. And kings don't get punished. Lewis, my middle brother, he ran away for the first time at 13. I remember because I was 11, and I woke up to the front door clicking shut at 2 a.m. I found his note scrawled on a piece of notebook paper. I can't take him anymore. He made it 3 blocks before a neighbor brought him back. My mother didn't hug him. She grounded him for scaring her. Alex, who had spent the evening locking me in the cupboard under the stairs again, got a new video game the next day. He's had such a hard week, she said. Everyone's so mean to him. That cupboard. It was under the staircase in our old terraced house in Manchester. Maybe 4 feet tall, 3 feet wide. No light, no vent. The door had a bolt on the outside originally for storage, but Alex figured out it worked on people too. He'd grab me by the arm, shove me inside, and slide the bolt home. Then he'd stand outside and whisper things through the crack. There's spiders in there. I saw one crawl on your leg earlier. Or he'd just walk away and leave me. The longest was 4 hours. I wet myself. I screamed until my throat was raw. When my mother finally came home from work and let me out, I was shaking so hard I couldn't speak. She looked at Alex, who was sitting on the couch eating crisps. "What did you do?" she asked. He shrugged. She was being annoying. My mother sighed, told me to clean myself up, and took Alex to the corner shop for a treat. To cheer him up, she said, "He's been so emotional lately." But then something changed. Not her. Him. Alex got worse. By 14, he'd been expelled from 2 schools. The first one said he'd threatened a boy with a broken bottle. The second said he'd orchestrated a campaign of whispers and lies that made a girl try to hurt herself. My mother's response to both other kids are liars. Teachers are soft. She didn't just defend him. She rewarded him. Every reprimand from the outside world became an excuse for her to double down. He got a new phone, a gaming console, a weekend trip to Blackpool. "Everyone's against my boy," she'd say. "I have to show him I love him." At home, Lewis started keeping a baseball bat under his bed. Not for sports. For the nights Alex would stand in his doorway at 3 a.m., just staring. Lewis ran away 4 more times. The last time, he stayed gone for 3 months scratched with a mate's family who didn't ask questions. My mother reported him missing to the police, but when they found him, she didn't bring him home. She told the social worker he's just dramatic. He gets it from his father. Lewis moved in with our aunt after that. He was 16. I was 14, and I was alone with them. I coped by disappearing. Not physically, I had nowhere to go, but I learned to make my footsteps silent on the stairs. I stopped leaving fingerprints on the fridge. I stopped speaking at dinner until my voice forgot how to ask for things. When Alex said, "You're lucky anyone even looks at you," I stared at my plate and counted the cracks in the laminate. My mother noticed none of it. Or if she did, she filed it under girls being dramatic. Alex was the main character. Lewis and I were extras, but then something shifted. He grew up, as shitty kids do, into a diabolical adult. But he had that veneered superficial charm, the easy smile, the way he could look a stranger in the eye and make them feel seen. He used it to find wives. The first one, Sarah, lasted 2 years. They had a son. I saw the divorce papers from across the table. Enmeshment cited cruelty. She didn't get specific, but she took the kid and moved 300 miles away. My mother's take, she never appreciated him. The second wife was Amy, and Amy had a son from a previous relationship. Jake. He was 12 when Alex came into his life. I met Jake maybe 3 times before I moved abroad for work. He seemed normal enough. Shy, kept to himself. I thought, good. Alex won't notice a quiet kid. I was wrong, but I didn't know it yet. I took a 3-year contract in Canada. It was an escape. I told myself it was for my career, but really it was to put an ocean between me and that family. While I was gone, I stayed low contact with Alex and heard about him through my mother. And she had stories. Jake, she said, was a problem. He had anxiety. He was a pathological liar. He had an eating disorder. She said it with this tone like she was delivering a diagnosis, not a cry for help. Poor Alex, she'd say. He's trying so hard with that boy, but the boy is just broken. But then something changed. I started listening to what she wasn't saying. She never mentioned what Alex did, only what Jake did. Jake lied. Jake didn't eat. Jake panicked. And Alex was the long-suffering stepfather, the victim of a troubled child. I'd seen this movie before. I'd lived it. The troubled child was me. The liar was Lewis. The dramatic one was every kid who ever told a teacher about Alex. And the long-suffering victim was always the same person. I came back to the UK when my contract ended. Jake was 15, and he was not the same kid I remembered. He was thinner, gaunt, really, with dark circles under his eyes that no 15-year-old should have. He flinched when Alex walked into a room. He never spoke first. He looked at the floor like it owed him answers. And my mother, standing in Amy's kitchen, said, "Isn't it sad what's happened to him? He used to be such a lovely boy." She said it while Alex sat on the sofa, feet up, scrolling his phone. That was the moment. The pain spike. Not the cupboard. Not the screaming. This an adult woman, my mother, looking at a child who was visibly falling apart and framing it as the child's fault. She knew about the anxiety. She knew about the lying, which I later learned was Jake trying to cover up bruises. She knew about the eating disorder, which was Jake trying to control something, anything, in a house where he had no power. And she still said, "Poor Alex." I asked her later on the phone, "Just the two of us. What exactly does Alex do to Jake?" Silence. "Then he's trying to parent him. It's hard." The boy resists. I asked again, "Does he hit him?" More silence. "Does he lock him in small spaces?" She said, "That's not fair. You're projecting." I hung up. My finger left a sweat print on the receiver. But then something changed. The burn on his forearm did what words never could. Jake showed up to school with a circular mark, the size of a cigarette end, on the inside of his wrist. He said he did it himself. The teacher didn't believe him. Social services got involved. And Alex, for the first time in his life, faced a consequence that my mother couldn't buy him out of. Not a treat. Not a new phone. An investigation. My mother's response. She defended him. "It's a misunderstanding. The boy is troubled. Alex would never." She said those words to me. To Lewis. To a social worker. And that was the reality punch. My mother never saw Alex's victims as people. Not me. Not Lewis. Not Jake. We were just threats to her favorite son's comfort. Obstacles to be dismissed, gaslit, erased. And when the consequences finally came for Alex, she didn't protect Jake. She protected the man who burned a child. Lewis and I went no contact that week. Together. We didn't plan it, it just happened. He called me and said, "I'm done." I said, "Me too." We haven't spoken to her since. That was 8 months ago. And now she's alone. Her golden child is facing legal trouble. Her enmeshed emotional husband's son is exposed. Her second son won't answer her calls. Her daughter blocked her on everything. And instead of asking herself why, instead of looking at the cupboard, or the running away, or the 15-year-old with the burn, she's doing what she's always done, making it our problem. The text started 3 weeks ago. "I miss you. Family is everything. I'm so lonely, sweetheart." Then the voicemails. Her voice cracking not with remorse, but with confusion. "I don't understand what I did wrong. I loved you. I gave you everything." She showed up at my house last Tuesday. I watched her from the window, stood in the drizzle, holding a grocery bag like that made it a visit. I didn't open the door. She knocked for 10 minutes. Then she sat on my front step and cried. Her sobs vibrated through the metal letterbox flap. "Please. I have nobody left. Not I'm sorry. Not I should have stopped him. Not where is Jake? Is he safe? I have nobody left." That's the moral trap, isn't it? She's an old woman now. She's isolated. She's hurting. And every instinct I have says, "You don't abandon your mother." But every memory I have says, "She abandoned me first, not by leaving, but by staying and choosing him." Every time. For decades. So I sat on the other side of that door, in the hallway, my bare feet cold on the floorboards, and I listened to her cry. And I thought about the cupboard. The dark. The bolts sliding home. The smell of dust and my own fear. And I thought about the ice cream, the way she'd smile at him, brush his hair back, say you deserve this. I didn't open the door. She left after an hour. The grocery bag was still on the step. I haven't checked what's inside. I don't want to know, because whatever it is, it won't be an apology. It won't be Jake's name. It'll just be another treat for someone who was never the victim, and I'm done pretending he was.
Hello, I'm Dr. Julian Reed. Let's talk about the mother. She is not a monster in the Hollywood sense. She is far more ordinary, and that is what makes her dangerous. The clinical pattern here is enmeshment following spousal abandonment. When her husband left, she did not process grief. She replaced the spousal role with her eldest son, Alex. That is emotional incest, a parent using a child to meet adult emotional needs. Alex became her surrogate partner, her stabilizer, her reason for being. In return, she could never see him as capable of wrong. To acknowledge his cruelty would collapse her entire psychological scaffolding. This is where triangulation enters. Healthy families have dyadic conflicts. Enmeshed parents create triangles: mother and Alex versus the world. The narrator and Lewis were cast as external threats: dramatic, liars, soft. Every reprimand from a teacher, every tear from a sibling, every runaway attempt was reframed as an attack on Alex, and therefore an attack on mother herself. So she did not punish him, she rewarded him. The treats after each incident were not gifts. They were rituals of reaffirmation. I see you, my king. They are wrong. You are right. Then came Jake. By then, the mother's moral disengagement was fully automated. She heard about a 12-year-old's anxiety, pathological lying, eating disorder, and her brain did not ask, who hurt this child? It asked, how is this making Alex's life harder? That is the hallmark of the enmeshed protector. Victims are not people. They are inconveniences. Jake's suffering became evidence of Jake's brokenness. Alex's presence became evidence of Alex's saintly patience. And here is the uncomfortable fact: the mother likely believes her own narrative. She is not scheming. She is not a Machiavellian puppet master. She is a frightened woman who fused her identity to a son who then became an abuser. And to admit that would annihilate her. So she doubles down. Even now, alone, her cries are not apologies. They are "I'm lonely, fix it." The subject is still herself. To the narrator, I say this: your claustrophobia is not a quirk. It is a diary entry written in your nervous system. Your mother bought him ice cream for locking you in the dark. That is not favoritism. That is a ritual sacrifice of your safety to preserve her delusion. And now the moral ambiguity that will split your audience. Is the mother deserving of sympathy? She is old. She is alone. She is weeping on a doorstep. But isolation is not punishment, it is consequence. She raised a son who burns children. She protected him at every turn. And when the bill came due, she did not pay it with remorse. She tried to hand it to her other children. So I ask you, and I ask your viewers, if a parent spends decades building a cage for everyone but the golden child, do they get to claim abandonment when the cage finally empties her? Do they simply have to live in it alone? That is not cruelty. That is accountability. And she taught none of her children how to give except, perhaps, by showing them what it looks like to refuse it.